Very emotional.
Supposedly her clothes were found over here. So supposedly, according to allegedly, yeah,
Yeah.
this is the road that London walked down, a little over
So-
3/4 of a mile.
Yeah, way on the other side. And so she walked all the way down here, and you see footprints, like shoe prints, all the way up into this corner over here, and then it goes off into the ditch. And then down there is where they found her clothes on this side of the road. And it was about down there where her car is, if not further, a little bit further. And then you backtrack this way,
Across the street
and back, and
yeah, it's about where that little pebble is, that black thing. Yeah, right around that area is where her the toe prints were.
This is where her toe prints were.
And that's where they claimed her shoes were at.
And then you'll see like where there was like grass laid down all the way
into a straight path.
In a straight path all the way over, cut through. And then her body was laying right here. And the thing is this grass is probably at least 2 feet taller than it was when she was found. And she was laying right here, just in the open, like this. So if you were driving from this way, or even from straight down, she was right here in the open. There was no grass covering her, anything like that. And like I said, this grass was only up to like right here whenever she was found. So
and as you see, this grass doesn't even grow.
Yeah. And so pretty much like right here is where she was laying. And I think it's been pretty confusing to everybody how for 5 days, not one person, not even a passerby didn't see her laying here, especially law enforcement knowing she was missing and that Braden was just picked up down the road down there.
So he went the other way?
Yeah. Yep, so he went the other way on the road. And so if you were to even patrol down here, I'm not sure how you wouldn't have even seen her laying there, or at least the clothes down there, or the shoes on the other side of the road, to not be like, hey, there's a girl missing, and I picked this guy up down the road, and there's clothes laying on
the grandma said that the girl was with this particular guy.
Yeah.
Several days before, like.
And I think that makes it like kind of a big questionable thing, is like, how did anybody miss this? Like, how did?
I'm gonna step back and get the perspective, like if you're a car coming through.
Yeah. Yeah. If
like that's why I went back then. So this short grass is always very short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, if not even a little bit taller. This is definitely a lot taller. So I think that raises even a lot of eyebrows for like investigative reasons, is like, how was she not seen in those 5 days that she was reported and was known to be missing, in this area that she was just laying out here in the open and not found for 5 days until. Well, she was wearing a red hoodie and stuff
at some point.
At one point, but those are the clothes that were found down there. So when she was found, she was wearing a blue bra and a gray sports bra, and was it gray?
I don't remember what color.
And a sports bra, and then a pair of underwear with gray boxer briefs over them. So.
That was just a couple of months ago, so the grass was green like it is now.
Yeah. It looks pretty similar. Yeah. So yeah, it was. I mean, and just thinking of like the body in decomposition state, like, you know, I feel like it just was probably very visible and just not looked for, is my guess.
So when did they start searching for her officially?
They didn't start searching for her until the morning that the morning she was found, and OSBI had been called in that morning, and they were on their way. But surprisingly, Scott Mitchell and a Hooker Police Department officer, Guero, found London that morning.
So the officer from Hooker drove all the way out here and was moving with
Yeah, not the Hooker chief of police, but he sent one of his other law enforcement. Yeah, and that was the day after that they had met with Jose and did the interview with him. Whenever I had met with Jose down in Hooker when he was trying himself to meet with the Hooker chief of police, and they were ignoring his phone calls. So I drove all the way down from Ponca City to take Jose up there, and then they met with him. And I think somewhere in that interview, they realized maybe things weren't what they thought they were going to be, or what they thought, like just as far as a runaway, and maybe that raised some concerns. And then I met with Scott, or not Scott, with Scott Hedrick, the Hooker chief of police, in the morning, and by that morning they had called in for help.
But within hours of the OSBI being called in, they found her.
Yeah, she was found.
Now let's talk about the toe prints and the drag marks again.
Okay.
Because I'm not real clear on that.
Okay. So over here is where the shoe, like you can tell somebody was wearing shoes whenever it crossed off, and just kind of cut off the corner here.
And then the shoe prints just disappeared.
They just
We're just
disappeared.
assuming that whoever was wearing them went through the grass at that point.
Yeah, they cut off over here, and then you don't see any other shoe prints or anything, or footprints until her toe prints. But before even that is her pile of clothes. So
at some point in this area,
yeah,
is where the clothes were at, and per Scott Mitchell, they were in a neat pile on this side of the road. Mind you, she came down that road, was found there, and did she backtrack all the way this way before crossing the road with no footprints, and then ended up here somehow? That part is what is very confusing to us.
Yeah, so whatever is what they're saying happened is she would have had to come all the way over here, and then her clothes were found here on this side, backtracked over here, still had her shoes on. So she took her clothes off before her shoes. And then her shoes were over here. And then in the very front up here, and I actually have pictures of this, is the very tips of her toes. Not a full footprint, but it was like she was standing on her tiptoes.
But
So
no footprints leading up to it.
No full footprint of like weight being put on it or anything like that. So it's just toe footprints, and then there's like some facing this way, and then a little bit further down there's more toe footprints, and then in the grass it cuts off. I don't want to go in here because I don't know what's in there right now, but and that just shows how much more grass there was, because I wasn't afraid to walk through it the first time.
She crawled through it.
I crawled through it the first time. And I was looking for handprints and everything, couldn't find footprints, whatever. Couldn't really see a lot, but I walked through it, and it left some grass laid down, but the way that because I did it in a spot right next to it, but whenever I pulled my body through, like as if I was being drugged, it laid the grass down all the way.
Like identical to how it was already laid down next to it.
Versus like it was just trampled through. So to me, it almost looks like she was drugged through it and then laid there. Almost, this is all my, like, this isn't proof or anything like that, but it almost looks like somebody had stopped here, got her out on her tiptoes, like holding her up, and then drug her through over there. Because it would be like if somebody had me up by my arms like this, and they were holding me up on my tiptoes, and then pulled me through the grass. Because if I were to do it myself, I feel like I would put my full feet down, a full footprint. And it looked like she was being like held up on her tiptoes.
Not only that, I want to point out that in the footprints that were there, the toe prints, the dirt was disturbed upwards, so like her feet went into the dirt. Does that make sense? Like a sudden jolt into the dirt. The front where her toes would have been is the part of the dirt that was disturbed upwards. And in order to do that, I have to put force downwards. Like I'm being dropped. Like my weight is dropping into that, not just laying my foot down flat. It wouldn't have left an uneven level of dirt there.
Right. And were they side by side toe prints, like boom, or was it like one in front of the other?
No, they were like almost like
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
like,
side by side.
like this, like your legs are uneven, unlevel.
But the other thing is like there's literally no footprints from where her clothes are to have even shown that she walked
across
the road over to where she was. And
but conveniently, there were shoe prints everywhere else that supposedly she walked. Yeah. I was literally going to point it out. And mind you, she walked when it was muddy. There was a tornado in the same location the night before she walked here.
And that was part of their reasoning is, well, her footprints were so solid in there because it was
like mud. It was like clay. That was exactly what they told us.
And I walked the entire mile. It took me 4 hours. I took pictures of every single footprint I could find. And there wasn't a whole lot for them to even just have enough evidence to say she walked that entire thing. Like, in my mind, when they told me that, I thought I was going to see, like, for them to have that much just, like, belief that it was her, that it was her walking, I thought there'd be a pretty solid set of footprints, and there's not. And so
at some point we were having to guess which shoes were potentially the shoes because we know she was wearing Air Force Ones. And so we had to guess off of the shape of the shoe, not even the footprint it left, because Air Force Ones have a very distinct circle pattern on their print on the bottom. Yes.
Yeah.
And so a lot of those prints didn't have that. And, but we also know based on pictures that that Braden sent himself afterwards, he also was wearing a very similar pair of shoes, exact same brand, just different color.
Maybe not that night, but there's proof that he has some. And to me, for that to be such a common shoe,
it just goes to show that those prints could have been anybody's.
I even have some, I realized later that I have some Nike slides that almost have a very similar shoe print bottom. So I think it's just really a Nike, like a Nike sneaker type thing.
Like a Nike pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they also are around the same, like, weight and size. So I just really, I'm like, how do you know that those were even hers? And we also had to point out that, like, they said she ran. That's what they were told, so they say that she ran, and after we showed them pictures, they had to admit that she walked because the strides weren't far enough apart
for running.
Whoever this was as walking, they weren't running.
And also, I want to say that I physically took my shoe off to compare my foot to the prints left here because OSBI told us that they were entire footprints, that was a full footprint. I wear 3 sizes smaller than London does, and the footprints left here were less than my whole footprint, which tells us that they were less than half of her foot. Like, and we told him that, and he couldn't answer that. He couldn't answer as to why that footprint. He told us that was an entire footprint, yet it was smaller than my foot. I wear a 6.5 in child shoes, youth size, and she wears an 8 in men's, which is the equivalent of almost a 10 in women's.
Yeah, and that's what I wear, so that's kind of how I know how much, like, what size London shoe is. Yeah. She could probably wear a 9.5, 10, but we wear around the same size, and that's how I know I wear a size 8.5 men's Nike Air Force One, because I've had a pair myself. So, but I just really think it's important, like, for them to base so much evidence off of just such little information that they had out here, and then just for it to be so open. Like, I really thought she was going to be, like, in the grass or, like,
I thought it was going to look more like this behind you, where it's completely covered in grass and you can't see the ground there.
Yeah.
You literally cannot see. If there was somebody laying there right now, we would not know.
And sorry, I'm just going off, but my other thing is, if she was walking that way and going for help, there's clearly houses that way. What made her turn around and go towards absolutely nothing?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, why did she walk that way where you can clearly see if she was going to get help, to turn around and try to go this way?
Also, just have to say this, the shoe prints that we followed that they claimed were London's coming down this road here, They meticulously went around anything that looked like it had been a puddle. You could tell the dirt was more moist in certain spots, so you know that that part had washed out or been a puddle. And the shoe prints meticulously went around those. So if she was avoiding water and deep mud and all that, why did she choose to walk through the grass here or crawl through this grass here? That part doesn't make sense to me. If you've avoided it the whole way down, why do you choose to crawl through it here?
But it's also the footprints and stuff. There's no stumbling for somebody who was losing their life in the middle of overdosing off a substance and their body shutting down. Her footprints consistently were very straightforward. You know what I mean? And I know that they don't have in the ME report that, you know, she alcohol proof, but we have proof that they admitted that they'd been drinking with her. And so I'm guessing she was pretty extremely intoxicated at the same time or something. Like, I just have a hard time imagining she made it that 3/4 of a mile down the road without stumbling or, you know, falling or anything like that. No handprints where she fell to lose her life at the end, crawling through a piece of grass, you know, through a piece of grass to lay there to take her last breath. Like, I
Also, it takes a lot of cognitive ability to make the decisions to walk around puddles.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you have to have some cognitive mindset still to say, oh, I don't want to step in this.
Maybe there's a puddle. I'm gonna.
There's
go
a puddle. I'm
around.
going to go around it. I'm going to go not just around it, but there were places where you could tell she went up on the ledge. Like, if we want to drive down this road here in a minute, you'll see that the sides of it is a gully. Like, you can't, in order to get up on the grass, you have to step up on a ledge. Like, it's dug down. The road is dug down into the ground. So you have to have cognitive ability to do that in the rain, in the wetness, in the moist grass, and not fall.
And some physical ability.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like,
To have your body successfully do that.
and be dying,
Yeah.
actively dying.
Your
You
heart,
only made it
your
this
body.
far and you died. Like,
And another thing that I have noticed is Braden makes the claim that they were on the highway driving and that they thought they saw police chase him, so they hit the dirt roads and took off. Where do you see even a highway close around? Like, there's no highway for him to have been running that intently from police.
there's one sheriff.
There's one, yeah. There's one sheriff in town. I'm sure there's others, but we've only seemed to know of the.
There's one head sheriff, and then
Was it possible that he was already had taken some method?
Oh, he admitted he was. Yeah.
yeah,
So this is where it's a really big concern. We have an adult male with my 16-year-old daughter who is admitting that he was so high off illegal substances that he hallucinated, thinking he saw the police after him in a chase. Not even just police, special agents, he said. And that he got out and ran and took his own bag of meth and to avoid getting in trouble for being stupid. And then when I asked him what he was doing in that 2.5 hours, he said he was out there laying in a field trying not to go to sleep because he was afraid he wasn't going to wake up. And the next thing he knows is he's laying on the farmer's porch. And then, of course, the farmers have a different story and say that they called the police because he was digging in the ditches, looking weird, and where he told them that he was hired by Jason Johnson specifically to pick up trash.
And where do you get that information from?
The call logs. We have the call logs from that night that we got, so that's the proof that we have. We learned that actually from the call logs. We knew that he said he was working for the police, but that was the first time we had learned through the call logs that he used Jason Johnson's name specifically, which happens to be the sheriff that picked him up that night.
2.5 hours later.
Yeah, after this wreck, yeah. So, I just think that and then, you know, at the same time, like, if you look around here, there's not a lot of places to go to for help except for the one way she was going to make her turn around.
If her clothes and stuff were in an accurate position, she would have been going the right way to
Get help.
made it to a house eventually. Like,
But she didn't have her cell phone because that miraculously they couldn't find it before they went on this little trip that was turned in a week later out of Jose's mom's car, allegedly, according to their stories. So I just don't see how, like, you know, an adult out here high on drugs, hallucinating to where he crashes with a minor in the car and she dies regardless of what happened down the road later from substances like that he was doing with her.
And this part isn't just hearsay, as we think that Jason knew that he was driving under the influence and high and inebriated out of his mind and
no driver's license.
had no driver's license.
But that even after that, he didn't take the initiative to come out here and after knowing London was missing and last seen with Braden, the guy that he picked up that night, to come and look around. You literally, if you made a 1 square mile look around,
you would have found
her.
There's no other ways. It's not like there's zigzag roads in between these fields. Like, it's just cut off in miles, 1 mile each. Like, and you can't even. Let me see what road I'm on. So you can't even get all the way through on one of these roads. I want to say it's from this direction, which is where we came from. You can't get through, so you only have this way. Like, when we were first taking the GPS, it was trying. That's why I had to do a U-turn on the road, because it was trying to take me down a different road that I knew was blocked off. It didn't exist. It's only one way in. Like, so
I think that's like just in general a question that is kind of even stumped like investigators, is like, how did nobody find her? And that's where we kind of get the suspicions and our own like questions about, was she moved? And like, we know that there was decomposition, and the medical examiner, you know, reports that, you know, for so many days she would have had to been laying out here in order to get that amount of decomp. But I asked her specifically, I said, is it possible though at some point that she could have been moved, and when? And she said it is possible that if they would have put her in a tarp or some type of protection over her, put her somewhere in a house or something, if she wasn't just laying out in the heat, that she could have that same decomp and have been placed there on Monday. So, and she would have died on Saturday, because I also just find it a coincidence that as soon as I put their names out there on social media, I feel like it raised concerns that they were known as the last people seen with her, and they couldn't be caught with her after that, right? We gotta go put her somewhere.
Not only that,
but in our hands, like
Braden at some point told Jose the day that he was being chased by the agents, having his hallucination, he told Jose that he was on his grandpa's land.
Yeah, and I have that on recording.
Mm-hmm.
He said that Braden said he was on his grandpa's land, something about his being on his grandpa's land, and we found out later that both Braden's dad and mother have grandpas with land outside of Forgan. So,
Forgan is that little town.
The little 3 miles, the town that was just outside of here. Yep. Because I think that's where Braden's dad's from, that area. So I believe he was like a first respondent of some sort there. So I think maybe Jason Johnston and Braden's dad knew each other.
Well, he admitted he had Braden's dad's phone number. He called him himself that night, and he's, according to what OSBI even told us, is that he told Leo, come get your son, and Leo said, well, I can't because I've been drinking, and so
you're gonna have to bring him home.
Yeah, Jason Johnson agreed to bring him all the way home.
Oh, here's another weird thing though too, is this phone call happened around 9 to come pick up Braden. Braden's dad said he didn't get brought home till like 10:30. So I don't know, but didn't take him down to the station or anything like that. So I don't really know what they were doing in that
for an hour and a half. You see, it didn't take us very long. And Beaver's what, 10 or 15 minutes even?
Yeah, it's only 10 miles away.
Yeah, so it doesn't take an hour and a half to get 10 minutes. Like,
yeah, I'm just really like, don't feel like it was taken very seriously. And if it would have been, we don't know how long it took London to die, if we really want to be honest. How do we know if he didn't turn around and come look for her, he couldn't have taken her to the hospital and London would be alive? You know, there's no way to prove that she was, but you know what? There's no way to prove that she couldn't have survived either.
Because per the chief of medical examiner of Oklahoma right now, they don't give estimated times of death in Oklahoma anymore.
That's what we were told, that that they don't give estimated times of death anymore. So, which I think is really, really strange,
Because when you look
leaves
it up,
such a
they
wide
are
window.
supposed to. Because every attorney I've talked to about hiring an attorney for this purpose said the one thing they need in order to agree to take the case is an estimated time of death. If they're Oklahoma attorneys, why would they ask for a piece of information that they know Oklahoma doesn't provide?
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Definitely kind of crazy. And I noticed in the letter from the DA, Mr. Leach, that he said that he came out here that morning. So
Oh yeah, that's right.
he did. Him and the medical examiner and somebody else, maybe the OSBI. And so I'm just kind of curious how he doesn't have maybe some more questions that are more related to what happened to London versus London's previous history of life that has nothing to do with her death. Let me throw that out there. I'm really upset about that because you don't place the value of somebody's life because of their past. I don't care if London was the biggest meth head in the entire world or anything like that. She was given meth by adults at 16, and her life is just as valuable as if she had never done drugs before in her life. Like, that's not what her life should be. The value of her life should be determined on. Like, the law is the law, regardless of who you are, and the law was broken, and they need to be held accountable for that. You don't get to pick and choose who the law applies to, and it seems like that happens a lot down here. Like, more often we're learning than we ever even knew. And so it's becoming a very concerning realization that a lot of things are swept under the rug down here, and everybody's connected, and it's very, very discouraging to feel like you don't know where to turn to get help.
Yeah, what did we just hear from the public information officer for the OSBI? There are no suspects or persons of interest at this time.
Nope, no persons of interest, no suspects, no
charges
charges, no
filed.
arrests. And I'm like, what do you mean there's no persons of interest? Like, at least, like, that.
I mean, per the OSBI agent that's working this case, just 3 weeks prior to their media person saying that, the OSBI agent definitely led on that they had persons of interest at the very least.
He very much admitted to me that he thinks the situations are weird. So, and I haven't heard from him since that letter came out. He was supposed to call us, or call us on Monday to let us know, because he said he was going to meet with the DA and to call him on Tuesday if he never called. So I called him on Monday, I called him that Tuesday, and now it's been it'll be 3 weeks now. Tomorrow, and I've called him consistently. I've left voicemails, I've sent text messages. I haven't heard anything. If anything, when I call, I get 2 rings and I go to voicemail. And I could say his phone shut off, but there's been times I called and it went more than 2 rings and got sent to voicemail. But we tried to call up there at the office and ask if he's on vacation again, because that's happened to us before. And she didn't know a whole lot of information, but she said that she would have him give us a call back. But we've done this once before and tried to have him have the supervisors call back, and they never called back either. So I don't know. I just feel like things have taken a sudden turn, and like, I really just want people to see and be aware, like, if anything, for awareness of the place that you live in, like what you guys have, what Texas County has going on around here, like as far as how the law enforcement handles, terrible situations, tragic situations. And I don't think they're really used to coming across these kind of situations like that. I'm not sure they're really trained to handle situations like that. I mean, they might have been trained, but I don't think they're used to it. And so I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but there's definitely some very lack of effort being done here. And it's really, I feel like it's very concerning, because I think anybody with half a brain cell can say, hey, something's wrong here. Like, this isn't right. There's clearly multiple crimes committed here, because let's not even forget the fact that she laid out here for 5 days because they lied to law enforcement about who she was last seen with. How is that not a crime in itself? Like, I think I've told it the story that one time I got in trouble for giving my best friend's little sister a ride down the street when I was 16, and the cops knocked on my door, and I got scared, and I said I hadn't seen her, and then I felt bad. I went and turned myself in, and they tried to get me at 16 for
aiding and
abetting a runaway, but then decided to give me obstructing an officer from his duty, and I got first offender classes. Like, even I got in trouble for that at 16 for helping give my friend a ride, my friend's little sister, a ride down the street. What happened was I lied. I broke the law. I did, I admit, But if I'm going to get in trouble at 16 for that, he definitely should be in trouble at 20 for picking up a 16-year-old and keeping her out for 2 days without returning her home. Like, and this happened here in Guyman, Oklahoma, when I got in trouble for that, in Hooker. So how does the law apply to me at 16 years old, but it doesn't apply to a 20-year-old who was running around doing substances with a 16-year-old? Like, that's what's concerning for me, is like, it's almost like Oklahoma is picking and choosing who to apply its laws to. And I don't think that that's okay.
So this was first reported to Hooker PD, right?
Yeah.
Officially reported on the 7th.
Yes.
And then Hooker PD did what about it?
So initially, we had thought maybe London was with an old boyfriend of hers, and so because he had just gotten out of jail, and so we let Scott know, and he did send up I think the Texas County Sheriff and a police officer to go look at this person's house, and she wasn't there, and then after that it was just nothing. Like, oh well, she's not there, and she's just a runaway. After that, they didn't post anything on their missing persons. They didn't report her on any of the social media pages or anything like that. They basically mocked me every single time and would say things like, "You need to calm down. You're acting like she's dead or something already." He literally yelled that in my face the night before she was found. The night before she was found. That's when I met Jose down there at the police station with him, and I was telling him he needed to try to put some effort, because actually he had told everybody that he was going with the Beaver County Sheriff to Woodward to talk to Braden. And so when we asked him, "What are you even doing here? Because you're supposed to be gone. You said you were going up there." He said, "I didn't say that." And we all said, "Yeah, you did." He said, "I said I would try." And I said, "Well, when are you going to start trying? Because the longer you wait and the more you don't try, the longer she's laying out there." And he's like, "You're acting like she's dead or something already." I said, "She is dead or something." And then he mocked me as a mental health professional, saying I should know better than to be that negative. And I said, "Well, before I'm a mental health professional, I'm a mom, and I know my daughter, and I'm telling you something's wrong and you're not listening." Matter of fact, I made a Facebook post about it that same night before she was even found, saying Hooker Police Department's not taking me seriously, and I'm very upset about it. And I'm actually really glad I posted that to show before she was even found that they weren't doing what they were doing. I hate that I feel like I have to have proof for literally everything, but I feel like I have to have proof for literally everything in this situation right now.
So they responded to one tip from you guys, and then
that was it. Yeah. So basically, I feel like he played a little bit of a part in the hand of it, of downplaying London, because he was so biased against her that she was just going to be a runaway. And so they just really, it was just straight up, you can tell, like, it was just dismissal. I know that he just thought London was, misbehaving and was going to come back any minute, and that's not the case. And hopefully it's a very good reminder that they signed up to do a job for a reason, and they need to do their job. Like,
they should treat every kid, whether a runaway or not, whether we know for a matter of fact whether they left a note that says "I'm running away." They should treat every child that is not in the safety of their own home as serious.
Yeah.
Because they are a minor and a child until 18 for a reason. That means if they're not in the safety of their parents or a responsible adult, they do not have the cognitive ability to make rational and safe decisions.
They're not even yeah, their brains aren't even formed enough to be said that they can make, good and bad decisions correctly.
Until 25.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I just don't see how, like, I just feel like in so many other situations, and if anything, an adult doing any type of substance with a minor would automatically be some type of charge. And I'm not understanding why this isn't being taken. It's not even like It's not even like he was drinking beer with her. He was doing. Sorry, I almost I almost dropped the f bomb real hard. He was giving her meth. Like, even if per se he didn't give her the meth, to be sitting there with a 16-year-old who was doing so much meth that she died, I still feel like that should be illegal.
And according to Oklahoma statutes, it is.
Yeah.
If you provide a space for a minor to do drugs in, that's illegal. If you provide a space for a minor to do drugs in, and that minor dies from said drugs, that's first-degree murder because it falls under felony murder.
Intent or no intent.
Yes, and in the state of Oklahoma, felony murder is charged as first-degree murder.
And then after that, like you said, lying to the police.
Yeah.
Is that not?
Nope. Hasn't even been. Doesn't seem like
filing a false report, obstruction of a police investigation.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. If I got in trouble for that at 16, and I turned myself in an hour later because I felt so stinking bad about it, and I still got in trouble, like, how is that I don't think anyone would understand how bad that feels unless it was your daughter laying out there that had no eyeballs and you were never allowed to see again, or a face, to understand how freaking disrespectful that is to me, for them to not get in trouble for lying to me, that my daughter laid out here and decomposed to the point where I was not ever able to see her ever again, to the point where she didn't have eyeballs, to the point where I was never even able to look at her in a casket again. They had to put her in 3 disaster bags. Like, no mother should have to sit here and find their daughter like that. Like, because adult males decided, if they would have just been like, yeah, she was last seen with us, then maybe she could have at least been found in a state where she was still looked like a person. Like, that's what really upsets me. How disrespectful is that to me, to say that it doesn't matter that they lied and she laid out here and rotted? Like, that's just messed up in itself. And if you can't have compassion for that as a person, then I just don't even know. Not even just as a legal standpoint, to just sit there and say that that's not wrong. Because I guarantee you, if it was their children, they would be very upset. I'm trying to keep, like, I'm just getting emotional, and sometimes I want to drop the F-bomb, but I'm trying to be professional right now. But it's like, that really, really, really hurts me, to even just, for them to not treat that like that is even something that they did wrong. Because it's not their kid that was laying out there. I guarantee you, if it came down to a situation when their kids were laying out there and kid didn't have eyeballs, their babies didn't have eyeballs by the time they found it, they would be furious. No matter what the situation was. And they lied. And they're not getting in trouble for anything. That doesn't make sense. That'd be like me doing drugs with a 13-year-old, and if I wasn't the one giving them, I feel like I should get, yeah, I watched her do meth for 3 days, and I drove her around, and we partied, but I didn't give it to her. Like, that doesn't even make sense to myself.
And that's with the speculation that London was willingly doing meth. However, the Emmy report never mentions that she had scarring to the esophagus or lungs, and there were 0 track marks, and that was from the chief medical examiner's mouth herself, that there were no track marks or damage to her lungs or esophagus that said she willingly smoked or injected meth into her body.
And where would she have even got enough meth to smoke continuously enough to the point where she died? Like, it's common sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the fact that none of these questions are even being dug into are really concerning. Like, even if it was, say, London's meth, they were with her for 2 days. Like, how did London get enough meth to, you know what I mean? It's just, I just want to just,
especially when Braden admitted that he took his meth out of his mouth. I took my meth and swallowed it because I didn't want to get in trouble for being dumb.
Yeah. But, the meth London had was her. Yeah.
Did she have lots of money? Did she have a job?
No. No, she wasn't even allowed to leave like that. London was not allowed to just run all over the place. Like, my mom tried really, really hard to keep an eye on her, you know what I mean? That she's 16 and she left without permission. Like,
At
London
11
didn't
o'clock
have
in the morning.
yeah, 11 o'clock. That's why she wasn't tucked in at bed at night, just so you know. It was 11 a.m. But it's just even just, I don't know, all of it is just so, sorry, I'm sitting here, now I'm all worked up now.